In this video, we're going to be adding a more complex table view. This one is a customizable table view with pictures added in. So to do that, again, we download our TableView project. You bring up your own project. I'll just create a new one. Let's call it Pick. Create. And bring up your main storyboard. Remember, when you open it from the website, the downloaded one, it may well look like this. So all you need to do is just click on the first arrow, then the table view arrow, then on the main storyboard. And then you should get the two options. The first one up here is the basic table view. The one we're going to make this time is the more complicated one. So you need to click that and make sure it's highlighted blue. Command C to copy it. Bring up your own project. And then we're going to Command V. Now remember, if you can't see it straight away, you can just scroll around or just right click, shrink it down and see where it's placed that folder. Then right click again, zoom back in. We need to make a button to segue between our first screen. Let's call that table view. And our new table view. Control drag across, show. And we want it to come back from that button. Sometimes it can be a little tricky to select it. Show. You know you've selected it when you can control drag and you get the option to show. Now with this table view, you'll see that it's a few different features. We've got a title, a second title and a detail, and we've got an image that we're adding in. So we need to copy in a few more bits than just the one element. So what we're going to do is we're going to copy across from our downloaded one the My Picture table view controller .swift file, drag that across till you see the plus. Make sure copy items if needed is done, finish. We also need to copy across the student. This is where all the information is held and allows us to enter it. And we also need to copy across the My Table View cell. Now this allows us to create a student which has a name, an age, a height, and an image. And the image is just the name of the photo that we've put in. You can change these to whatever you want, but if you add more, you need to basically copy this method to increase it. So if you wanted to add another thing, you'd need to do another var, whatever you want to call it. It might be grade of type int. And then you'll need to do another element here, comma, grade type int. And then down here, self.grade equals grade. So if you want to add more, that's what you've got to do. I'm going to delete that though. String, and stick with what we've got at the moment. So if we come back to our table view, you'll see these are the elements that we've added in. They should all have a little black dot in them, which means they're linked. If we go to our storyboard and we split our screen, we should be able to see, if I bring up the cell, that these, when you highlight over top of them, you can see what they are. So the My Image, that's our image view. That's our second title, there's our detail, and there's our title. They're all labels that we're going to change for each cell. If we go to the My Picture table view now and go back to single so you can see it a little bit more, you can see it's quite a complex array here. We've got this thing called student list, and then we've got a whole lot of student names. So it's a whole array, a whole list of students, and each student has a name, an age, a height, and an image. And you'll have to add each element to that. So if you want to change it, instead of being student, it might be the name of a pet or something like that. So it might be cat, which has an age of 4, a height, well, we're going to say the height is only 25 centimeters, and the image, you might come up with a different name for your image. And what it will do is it will create a whole list of those things and reference those images. We also have to copy the images in. So what we're going to do is we're going to bring up a bunch of photos, and these photos will be the ones that you select, obviously, and you need to drag them in and copy them. Now you'll notice that I've already renamed them. They're all JPEGs, so they all need to be JPG type files, and you'll see I've got Bill Photo because I've called here, the image is called Bill Photo. So you can change them to whatever you want. We drag them across and we just drop them in there. Make sure the copy, if needed, is selected, and we go finish. Now with this one, oops, I want. This one's not what we want. We want a Sarah photo. And this is our Sarah photo, so we change the name. Just double click on the name. Oops, didn't need to open it. And we're going to change that to title Sarah photo. It needs to be exactly the same name as you call it in the list. And then we drag that in. That way, when we build our table view, it can find these photos. So let's try it. Okay, so here we go, and we click table view. There are our items. And you'll notice that there's only the 2 photos because it can't find the other photos. It's trying to find Bob photo, but we haven't saved that in there. So we need to drag and drop that in for it to find that reference. Otherwise, it'll just be a blank photo. So to do that, we go to our photos. We want the Bob photo, and again, you can rename it. Drop that in. And we also didn't have the Penny photo. We'll drag that in. Make sure the copies, if needed, is there. Then when we run it, we should find that those come up. So this time, when we hit table view, we should see that there are our photos. And the user can scroll through and see the photos. They can also check them, and they show the check next to those photos. So there we go, there is our more complicated table view. Obviously you might want to have in more elements than just there. We've got how many students? 1, 2, 3, 4. If you want more, you do it in a similar way. It's a little bit more complicated. You do a comma to say we're adding a new cell, and it's got to be of type student because that's what we've called our Swift file. And then we open brackets and we put all the elements of that Swift file in. So the elements we had were name, age, height, and image. So we need to have a name, and it's got to be exactly the same thing. So it was a capital N, then you do a colon, and then because it was a string, we put in the name might be Glenn. Then we go a comma to say the next element, and it was age, colon. This one was an int, so we can just type it in, 22, comma. The next one was height. And again, you notice that I had a lowercase h. It's all got to be the same as it was in that Swift file, colon. The height is also an int, so it might be 168, comma. The next one was an image, and I don't have an image for that one, so I'm just going to put a space, and then you close the bracket to say that's the end of that student. And if we run it this time, we should have an extra student that has the name Glenn, the age 22, height 168, but no photo. If we want to add a photo, we give it a name, and it might be Glenn, and we need to find a new photo, call it Glenn photo or whatever, drag that across. But it must be, well, in that case, the photo needs to be Glenn. But let's say there's nothing there, so we just go a space and let's run it. So here's our table view, we click it, we scroll down, and there's Glenn, 168, 22 years, but no photo. So if we want to add that photo in, we need to do a couple of things. So we're going to add in a photo, which I've got this one here. We're going to change the name of that to Glenn photo, which means we need to change our image name here to Glenn photo, and it will look for that, so we need to copy that into our photos here. So we're going to grab our photo, drag it up, make sure the copy items if needed is there. Now we've got our Glenn photo. It's the same as that string there, exactly the same capitals everywhere. When we run it, we should find that when we click our table view and scroll down, we now have Glenn with the photo included. So there's our more complicated table view. It does take a little bit of playing with, but I have no doubt you'll be able to pick it up.